All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Shannon Halstead. I'm a major in the Crimes Against Persons Division. I oversee the Major Crimes Unit. All of the men and women, both supervisors and detectives that are here with me this morning, work in the Major Crimes Division and have been very busy the last few days working on this case. So we are here in reference to a homicide investigation that started yesterday at 524 16th Avenue South. I want to give you some information on what we've learned going from yesterday till this morning. We often tell our citizens, if you see something, say something. And yesterday, that happened. About noon, we had some witnesses come forward and provide us some credible information that they had come into contact with a guy named Dante. Shortly after that, we were able to identify Dante as Angelo Dante Beckford. In 2008, he was sentenced to prison for armed robbery. He was released in March of 2016. He violated his probation and went back to prison in December of 2016. He was released from prison April 1st, 2018. So just a month ago, he was released. Yesterday, the witnesses that spoke to us again said that Dante was in possession of firearms, and he was boasting about how violent of a person he is. So when he was interacting with these concerned citizens, he showed the witnesses what appeared to be a female body deceased in a storage tote in his residence. Right after that, those citizens came here to the police department. The detectives did a phenomenal job and right away determining that those citizens were providing reliable, credible, and consistent information when the detectives asked them all sorts of questions. The detectives were able to put those individuals into a car and go to the address where they were able to point out the exact address of the house where this happened. It was indeed 524 16th Avenue South. At that point, detectives began working on learning more information about Dante. We knew that he had a violent criminal history and that was, in fact, his mother's address. He had been staying there ever since he got out of prison. The SWAT team was activated because of his violent felony history. Officers set a perimeter on the residence to make sure that no one was coming or going from the residence until we could come up with a safe, tactical plan. Beckford was in the area and was taken into custody by detectives without incident. The SWAT team made entry into the residence and in fact did locate the deceased body of Cheyenne Snyder inside of a storage tote. Beckford ultimately confessed to detectives that he murdered Cheyenne. He stated on Sunday night an argument ensued that escalated and he shot her. He is currently charged with second-degree murder, possession of cocaine, aggravated assault, and violation of parole. Cheyenne's family lives out of state and they have been notified. She was 29 years of age, mother of 2 boys. She grew up playing volleyball. She was well liked and loved in her hometown of Galion, Ohio, and resided in Florida for the past 9 years. She has 2 brothers and 1 sister. Again, I want to emphasize that the citizens involved in this case coming forward and providing timely information to us were instrumental in us continuing the rest of the investigation and bringing justice to Cheyenne and Cheyenne's family. And I will take questions at this time.
What is the relationship between the two?
Sure. We think that the relationship between Beckford and Cheyenne is that they only knew one another for about a week's time period, and they both struggle with drug addiction.
So why was she staying at his mother's house?
During the interview, he was able to talk to us and tell us that there's several people that come and go from that residence on a regular basis, all which have drug addiction problems.
What was the argument about?
The argument between Beckford and Cheyenne was over a mess that Cheyenne left in the residence.
Would you please spell her full name?
Sure, it's Cheyenne, Cheyenne, Snyder, Snyder.
She was 29.
Yes, 29.
Thank you.
How many weapons did he have on the property?
So during the course of the investigation, we became aware of 3 separate weapons. We're still working all sorts of leads in reference to this case, and we're still working on recovering those firearms.
She was in like a storage tote, or was that some sort of bag, or?
It was a plastic storage tote that has a lid to cover it.
Do we know how long she was dead before you guys discovered her?
We believe, according to our investigation, that the timeline, the altercation argument happened sometime Sunday evening.
Can he say why he would boast something like this? Why he would brag about something like this?
No, but he spoke with several people in that immediate neighborhood, and we've gotten lots of tips and leads of information that we're still following up on, and all of them mention that he's, would brag about how violent he is as an individual.
In the affidavit, it says that he pulled out 2 handguns and a shotgun, and this was done in front of 2 witnesses. Were these witnesses somebody's neighbors, or were these people who were also staying in the house?
They were neighbors that live nearby.
How many of you said citizens came to the police station? How many came to report this?
We're still sorting that out because we're getting messages from social media as well. So we started getting tips as soon as the information went out, and we're still sorting through everything.
But the initial contacts, the group of people that first notified police about this, how many were there?
2.
Knowing that this person has a violent past, I mean, do you think that these neighbors coming forward could have stopped more crimes being committed by this individual?
I think he'd only been out of prison since April 1st, and when they realized, obviously, the seriousness of this and how erratic his behavior was, that they knew right away that they needed to involve police to make sure that he didn't harm anyone else.
What was he doing when he was picked up for the BOP and the drug charges? Like, was he just in a neighborhood? Was he walking? What was he doing?
Sure. He has friends and acquaintances that live by in the area, as I mentioned previously. His immediate circle are other people that have drug addiction problems, and I believe he was on his way back from purchasing or picking up narcotics.
He had no clue, was he aware that he was being surveillance?
No, ma'am, I don't think he was aware.
How was he able to get a hold of the handgun, being a convicted felon?
Great question, and we're still working on that. During the investigation, the detectives are following up different leads to figure out how he got access to those.
And just to be clear, you said there were 3 weapons in the house. Were those all located inside the house?
I didn't say that there were 3 weapons inside the house. During the course of an investigation, we learned of 3 different weapons, and we're still working to locate where exactly each of those weapons are currently.
Does the mom still live at her house?
She died in January of 2018. So there was no one else living there permanently besides him.
What was the name of the town in Ohio that the victim was from again?
I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it's Galion. They have it spelled Galion.
And the storage tote, that was, in the shed outside?
So during the initial investigation, the information we received was that the tote was located inside the main house of the residence. When the SWAT team made entry to the residence, the tote was actually found in the back portion of the yard that's like a storage half address type of area. So it had been moved from the front house to the back.
Where did he shoot her in the house?
We're not going to get into those specific details because we still need to work together with the state attorney's office to make sure this is successfully prosecuted.
You may have said, how long had she been dead?
We believe the altercation between Beckford and Cheyenne happened Sunday evening.
Is the victim of the aggravated assault one of the people that came forward to the police station?
Yes, ma'am.
And just to be clear, she was in that plastic tote that was in the shed.
I know we originally referred to it as a shed. I believe it's actually more of like a half address or a garage with a storage area underneath, but it's not a metal shed.
Okay.
It's a building with a storage area.
Separate from the house.
Yes, sir. Yep.
So can we say say another part of the home, or another part of the home outside?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's safe.
Right,
Thank you.
thank you.